So I was listening to the Eric Adams lawyer show. I just finished the show, and it was mentioning he was interviewing a police officer called Camper. I don't know if that's his real name, but the nickname, it was like a transit NYPD. The NYPD transit have been terrorizing him on the subway, and this Eric Adams said he's going to be using them to put homeless in the psych ward. So it's very hard for me to get on the subway. At nighttime, I freeze out in the cold, because anytime I go there, they surround me and be menacing me in the subway. And be threatening me with their mental health workers. So it's like they're forming it, and they leave they put signs all over the subway that if you're feeling suicidal, call them for help. I'm not suicidal, I don't need your help. And it's like they want to drive to the point of suicide. And whatever help they're giving people, because my mother's daughter's in America, feigned mental illness of my mother in Bellevue Hospital. My mother wasn't crazy, she was getting treated there. She's a foreigner born in Nigeria, and she was getting treated for heart disease in Bellevue Hospital. And her daughters went and accosted her. She didn't even tell them what hospital she was in. She was for her own safety. She didn't tell, because her daughters had feigned mental illness on me. A year after she brought me to America in 2001, the feigned mental illness on me. It was like a setup between my mother and my mother's daughters in America, Bolani and Flora. Because, when I got here to America, we received the shock of our life. The immigration arrested me, said permanent residents can bring children to America. I was a young minor child at 21. So they arrested my mother, paid money to the lawyer, and the lawyer wasn't acting good. So I was in immigration prison. So when I got out of prison, I guess my mother was just fed up. So she tricked me to go from New York to go meet her daughters in Pennsylvania. So I went there with her, and then my mother wanted to return back to New York alone. And I had an immigration court date in New York. So I wanted to enter the car. Our daughter Flora was going to drive her to the Greyhound station in Pittsburgh to bring her to New York. So I wanted to enter the car, and our daughter quickly closed the door and hit me with the car, and drove my mother away, and it's like I was being trafficked. It's like I was being trafficked. I had a deportation hearing in New York. It was 2001. I just arrived in America in 2000. So it's like I was being trafficked. So I was stuck there in Pittsburgh, and one of my daughters drove my mother away to New York, to the Greyhound station in Pittsburgh, so she can get the Greyhound to come to New York. And I had a court date, so I was really afraid. And the second daughter called 911, said I was attacking them with a weapon, and they need the police now. So the police came. This was after Diallo was killed. The police in New York said Diallo was moving his hand. It was a West African immigrant. And I guess maybe he wasn't very proficient in American English. So he was moving his hand in the front, and the police shot him dead. And the court in New York, free the police from prison. So, it was an accidental death. So in 2001, a daughter, Bolanle, she was born in America, she called the Pittsburgh police on me, and they took me to the psych ward. I was attacking them with a weapon. As I was an immigrant in the court, I didn't know what was happening, because that was so strange to me. You normally don't call police on somebody. I wasn't used to that kind of system, so I was in shock. How they were able to call the police on me, and they took me to the psych ward. I didn't even know where I was at. So I told the hospital I need to go back to New York. I know my hair. I know I'm in a different city. I've told them I'm a foreigner. I'm new in the country, and I need to go get to New York for my deportation hearing. So they called my mother's daughter, Bolanle. The hospital was like, why would you bring somebody into the psych ward if they didn't have an immigration case in New York? And so my mother's daughter lied to them that I didn't have an immigration case, and that's part of the problem. I'm imagining stuff. I don't have an immigration case. So I called my lawyer in New York, and my lawyer spoke with the hospital. So the hospital apologized to me, but they never got my mother's daughter arrested. That was in 2001. 14 years later, my mother was getting treated in Bellevue Hospital for heart disease. She didn't tell her daughters what hospital she was in, because she was very afraid. As a matter of fact, she was living with them in Pittsburgh. But when she started having heart disease, she was very afraid, because they might try to feign mental illness on her. She was giving her problems while she was in Pittsburgh. They had to call the police had to come, but the police wouldn't help her. She was first living with one of her daughters that was now married, Flora, the one that drove her in 2001 to the Greyhound station. I said the husband was attacking her, my mother, and the police came and didn't do nothing. So my mother fled from the daughter Flora to another daughter, Bolale, in Pittsburgh. I said that one was menacing her also. So when my mother was having a heart disease, a heart problem, she got on a Greyhound bus to escape to New York, because she didn't want them to do what they did to me in 2001 to her. So she didn't want to seek medical care in Pittsburgh. So she secretly left Pittsburgh, afraid for her dear life, came to New York. While she was on the Greyhound bus fleeing, she began having a heart attack on the bus. They said the bus driver pulled over. I don't know anybody on that Greyhound bus with my mother. Please, if you remember her in 2015, the Greyhound bus from Pittsburgh pulled over in Jersey. Please, if you can find, I don't know if any of you use your credit card to purchase that Greyhound bus ticket. Was when this case goes to court. You probably remember an African woman that was having a heart attack on the bus, and the Greyhound bus pulled over in 2015, and they were calling 911. And my mother told them not to call 911, to keep driving to New York. She was trying to escape her daughters. She didn't want to be, they were in Jersey, but she wanted to be as far away from Pennsylvania as possible because she was afraid they were going to fail in his honor if she was, they had access to her. So the bus brought her to New York, and by the time they got to New York, she collapsed at the Greyhound station in Port Authority. So they took her by ambulance, and she ended up in Bellevue Hospital eventually. And then her daughters was able to find out she was in the hospital, and they came to New York, and they told the hospital to put her in the psych ward. Because my mother didn't want to have surgery done. She said her daughters came there, so I was asking her, I was managed that she had to have surgery done. Because my mother was first misdiagnosed with a heart disease. She was diagnosed with a heart disease in 2003. She didn't want to have surgery done. She believes in God. She prayed to God for healing. And God healed her. By the time she did an x-ray later, the heart disease was gone. She had an aortic dissection in 2003. So she told the Coney Island Hospital then that she didn't want to have surgery. And they showed her the x-ray that she had a aortic dissection in 2003. But she prayed to God while in the hospital, and God healed her. And by the time they took an x-ray later, the aortic dissection was gone. So in 2015, when they said she had a new heart disease, this time they said she had an aneurysm. So she said she wants to pray to God again for her healing. And my daughters know my mother was a religious person. She always goes to church. Even our daughters go to church. But our daughters were like, no, they have to do surgery for her. Because, I filed a lawsuit against the NYPD in 2013. And I said when the NYPD, kicked us out of our home in 2013 and threatened to put us in the psych ward if we don't leave immediately, my mother began suffering heart attack symptoms. So it's like our daughters read my lawsuit, and I sued the NYPD for millions of dollars. So when they found out that she was, she was in the hospital having a heart issue, they said, and my mother wanted to, because they said that aneurysm, even the U.S. Justice Department always files lawsuits and criminal charges against hospitals that forces patients to have a stent. They said that aneurysm is bad, especially when you're elderly like my mother. Lifestyle improvement, eating right, and avoiding stress would help save your life, because the stent is just, the stent surgery, they say, has a lot of side effects on elderly people. And my mother was working in the nursing field also for like over a decade. She was a home health aide. She had a certified nurse assistant license. So she told the doctor that she doesn't want to have surgery done because she's having housing issues. But our daughters, were just trying to, at that time my mother was saying our daughters were trying to, our daughters were trying to, she had a feeling our daughters were trying to get life insurance policy on her, so they were aware, because I stated that she so they were aware she has an issue of heart problem, because I put that in my lawsuit that, when they wanted to put us in the psych ward or arrest us after the police invaded our home in 2013 and kicked us out unlawfully, I said my mother began having symptoms of a heart attack. So I think I do it because I just were aware of my lawsuit. I was suing the police department and they didn't support nothing. They didn't support nothing. But I guess, but they were aware they had a lawsuit, and they, because they were very nosy, they always try to find out everything about me. That was the kind of, even my mother always tried to find out everything. So I believe they intentionally, purposely tried to scare my mother to death, and told the hospital to put her in psych ward if she doesn't want to have surgery done. And the hospital, Dr. Mohammed, told me in 2015, 24 hours after my mother died, as they were trying to put her in the psych ward, my mother died because she didn't want to go to the psych ward. So they say a lot of times like that, when they try to forcefully put somebody in the psych ward and the person resists, they will kill the person, because the force is trying to commit something. So it happens here in New York City a lot. It's a lot of times when the police try to put, especially in Brooklyn, when they try to force people to psych wards, they end up killing the person, and the police always get away with it, because under the United States Supreme Court, a decision that says, if the police think somebody's mentally ill, they have the right to use force to subdue the person, including trying to force the person to psych ward. So if they kill the person in that process, it's regarded as accidental death. So so now with my mother's case, our daughter's friend mental illness on her, and the Bellevue Hospital told me in 2015 after my mother died within 24 hours that Dr. Muhammad said they were trying to force her into the psych ward and she didn't want to go. And my mother was telling me that our daughters were harassing her in the hospital. She didn't even tell them the name of the hospital she was in, but she was so shocked how they were able to find it. They came all the way from Pittsburgh and they don't even live in New York City. She was wondering if they knew people, that were, if they had them, because I was under surveillance by the U.S. government because I came into the country before 9/11 and I had a deportation case, and then 9/11 happened and they were putting people that had deportation cases under special surveillance. They sent my fingerprint to the FBI, so they were monitoring my phone and and everything. Because they were putting people on, especially immigrants that had immigration cases, they were putting us under extra surveillance. So they were tapping my phone and stuff. So my mother was telling me our daughters were trying to kill her over the phone and stuff. So I don't know if our daughters had connections with the undercover FBI agents, because they were born in America, they went to school in America, but my mother was really shocked how our daughters were able to find out what hospital she was in, because my mother didn't even tell me what hospital she was in. She just told me she's in the Manhattan hospital getting treated for heart disease, because she didn't want the information leaked out, because she was afraid, our daughters may try to sabotage our health treatment the way they tried to harm me in 2001 by feeling mental illness on me. And she they know some important people here in America, so just for extra safety precautions, she didn't tell me what hospital she was in. She just told me she was in the hospital in Manhattan, and she was getting treated for heart disease, and I kept telling her what hospital she was in. She didn't want to tell me. She was like, she was very hesitant. So I understood that she was, because she said our daughters were talking to people in Nigeria that wanted to kill my mother. So my mother testified in court for my immigration case in 2001 here at Federal Plaza, 26 Federal Plaza, that there were some people in Nigeria that wanted to kill my mother. I even sent evidence to the immigration. When in the 1990s, somebody choked my mother, and my mother wrote a note in my childhood Bible that stating the date and name of the person in Nigeria that tried to choke her, and the police didn't help my mother. So I brought that Bible to America, and I sent it to the immigration, made a photocopy of the notation in my Bible where my mother said our daughter, somebody tried to kill her in Nigeria, the name of the person, the date in 1990, around 1990, and I made a photocopy, so it's in my immigration file. But immigration stole that Bible from me, which has the evidence. They can do the forensic with my mother's handwriting. They can do the forensic of that Bible. The U.S. Justice Department needs to produce that Bible in criminal court so they can do the forensic analysis of that Bible, the ink print, and see it was my mother's handwriting in the 1990s. As soon as the incident occurred where she was choked in Nigeria, and the name of the person, she wrote down in my childhood Bible. I said our daughters in America in 2015 was talking to that person in Nigeria. And my mother didn't feel safe around them. But she was like, why would our daughters be constantly in Nigeria that wanted to kill my mother? And our daughters came in. So, they were acting very adversarial. My mother was saying our daughters would act very adversarial to anything. If she wants something, they'll go against it. They were acting very, very, very controlling, very manipulative. And so they told the hospital to put her in the psych ward. And because they knew my mother's health, she was very vulnerable, and she was an old person, and any form of stress would get her, could harm her, and especially dealing with the hospital system. That Bellevue hospital is very notorious, allegedly. They beat people up there. It's a hospital where they take prisoners to from Rikers Island. And a lot of the prisoners say they beat you up. If you don't comply with their order, they want to put you in a psych ward, and you resist, they have a police force. So they our daughter set my mother up. They set her up and got her to create a problem for her. And my mother was saying the same thing. Our daughters was like, saying they came into the hospital and they were just menacing her for days in the hospital, trying to get her angry. So the hospital could be suspecting maybe something my mother has a mental issue with fighting people. So they were creating a little thing. She was a foreigner, so they were very manipulative and controlling like that. And they got my mother killed in 2015. And after they killed my mother, they showed no more interest. They didn't ask for an autopsy. And as a matter of fact, I told the hospital to do an autopsy. The medical examiner's office, they said our daughter said no autopsy for my mother. It's like they were trying to cover up something. and her daughter kidnapped a corpse and went and dumped a corpse in New Jersey for burial. So I couldn't even get to the burial because my mother told them I had carried my belongings with me, and it's very hard for me to get on the bus. So I was cheated from justice. So fast forward to now, a black American is Mayor Eric Adams. So while I was trying to get justice, I was calling lawyers all over America. They would hang up the phone on me as an African. This Eric Adams was the borough president of Brooklyn. And I noticed it was very hostile. It had a connection with the police. He used to work for the NYPD. So I was trying to get justice against the NYPD for rendering my mother homeless in the first place. And also Bellevue Hospital, a city hospital, for killing my mother. And this all of a sudden, I don't know who this Eric Adams was. It was very hostile. So when I got to use the bathroom, I was homeless on the street in 2015 when I killed my mother. So I go use the bathroom at the Quad Street train station, number 2 line. And the police would come and eject me. It was like they were trying to get me to go commit suicide and kill myself. I was going through a hard time. My mother had just been killed. No lawyer in America would help me. When I called them, a lot of them would hang up the phone on me. I was getting made fun of. And this Eric Adams also joined in. And it was saying people need to go back to where they came from. New York is for real New Yorkers. And then people will mock my accent because people say I speak with a fake American accent. Because I'm an immigrant, I have a mixed accent. So your American accent is not original. It's like sometimes it's mixed with a Nigerian accent. So they say you're fake. So they will harass me, humiliate me. And this Eric Adams started saying people need to go back to where they came from. New York is for real New Yorkers. So, then the police would attack me when I tried to use the bathroom at the Quad Street station near the Brooklyn Federal Court when I filed a lawsuit against them at the time they killed my mother. Before they even killed my mother, Eric Adams was trying to help me with that lawsuit. The police went and choked him dead. I was just expressing brutality from this police department, and nobody would help me. They were menacing me, and this Eric Garner, he was living on Staten Island. He told me he was going to help me with my court papers in 2014. I recorded him. Because I was very distrustful of people. So when I told him I was going to help him in my court papers, I was recording him just to be sure, so he doesn't renege later. And weeks later, the police went and choked him dead on Bay Street. And even though the FBI had no surveillance, because I had an immigration case prior to that, and they were putting people, after 9/11, people that had deportation cases on surveillance, they called it removal proceedings. Technically, they called it removal, it's still the same time as deportation cases. That's what they put me in. And the FBI hid evidence. After Eric Garner was choked dead, the whole world was so shocked the way Eric Garner was. People marched. And this Eric Adams, it was very hostile to me. He was a former police officer, and it was very important. It was the borough president of Brooklyn. So anytime I go to use the bathroom in Brooklyn, the police would come and across me near his office and throw me out of the bathroom. After my mother was killed. So I would go outside near his office. I'll be telling people to help me call 311 that my life is under attack. I said I'm experiencing xenophobia attack. And I say now in Ohio, a Nigerian became mayor. In Iowa, they are granting undocumented immigrants driver's license. I said New York needs to stop the xenophobia. Then this Eric Adams started, I don't know if you could hear me, while standing outside his office. I was trying to see if you could help me also, because it was very important. I would see if it could be a liaison for me between the NYPD, and I was so shocked when I told the media, people need to go back to, it's like it was responding to things I would say like, a Nigerian became a mayor in Ohio, and in a town in Ohio, a Nigerian became a mayor, and I said in Iowa, they're giving driver's licenses to undocumented immigrants. I said New York should stop xenophobia also. So this Eric Adams made a statement to the press that you go back to Ohio, you go back to Iowa, New York is for real New Yorkers. And anytime I tried to use the bathroom at the 14th Street, but they wouldn't let me use the bathroom in Brooklyn train station, the police would surround me, and so I tried to use the bathroom at 14th Street on the A line, the bathroom there. So they said, and they were vandalizing the bathroom there also. They'll put graffiti, say die soon poser. I will take a video of the graffiti, and save it in my Google archive. So the video is in my Google archive, of the graffiti, hate graffiti. So I'll call on 511 to report the MTA workers for not cleaning up the bathroom. They will leave the bathroom unflushed for days or months. There'll be flies all over, doo-doo. I'm so sorry to be graphic. So I'll call 511 and nothing will get improved. And it's like they were trying to drive me to suicide. As a matter of fact, they even sent somebody to across me in Brooklyn and said, we're going to make you kill yourself in this country. You're not going to get no help. And then in 2000, after I filed a lawsuit on behalf of my mother against the city of New York for helping my daughters kill her at Bellevue Hospital, You know, I filed a lawsuit in 2016. My mother was killed in 2015. By 2019, when the lawsuit was going on, they were harassing me anytime I tried to use the women's bathroom in anywhere. At the train station on Chambers Street, they would send people to attack me in the bathroom, got all my belongings, throw it into the train track. I'll call 911. And inform them, you know, and the police will come and meet the gangs that do that to me. I will shake their hand. Trump was president then. You know, so they were just terrorizing me, saying I wasn't welcome to use any bathroom in America. I should go back home. You know, it was time to go back home. Like just like Sarah was saying, people need to go back to where they came from. Go to Ohio, New York is for real New Yorkers. It was time to go back home. You know, so it's like they were trying to either get me to commit suicide or render me mentally ill, and then so you know, so they deport immigrants that way. So you can find a family member in your country and claim you're just a menace on the streets in New York City. You're crazy. You need to be sent home for treatment. So it's like they're trying to carry out a psychiatric deportation. So, you know, I'm being met. They're trying to leave me unsanitary. They steal my clothing. So it's like a war crime by a black American. You know, this Eric Adam. I don't, you know, then somebody went and they said, Bloomberg, under Bloomberg, the police department was attacking blacks, you know, rendering us homeless, stop and freeze. The Brooklyn Federal Court near Eric Adams' office ruled that Bloomberg's police were practicing racial profiling. They need to stop it. You know, by 2013, but by that time, the police had already invaded my home in 2010, removed me and my mother. You know, and Eric Garner was killed after that when I was trying to help him with the court papers. You know, so this Eric Adams, you know, they said Bloomberg was mayor under that, was mayor when these police were brutalizing blacks like me and my mother, rendered us homeless, stopping and frisk us on the streets. Blacks, I was stopping and frisked so many times. You know, so Bloomberg has a case to answer also. So now I was raising awareness. So they said Bloomberg now went and paid money for Eric Adams to become mayor. And since then, Eric Adams said, you know, he's going to move all the homeless into psych ward, you know, and he's saying the immigrants have come to destroy New York City. And, you know, I appealed to him because there were some black Americans that were vacated this year from their home, and Eric Adams went and put them in a hotel room, gave them money. So I contacted Eric Adams on social media, please, I was vacated from my home also. In 2010, I gave him the address on social media. I said, can you please help me with a hotel room also? He ignored me. I contacted him like 3 times, but he keeps putting his information out there. If anybody needs any assistance, they should contact him on social media. Anytime I contact them, it won't help me. But now I'm being bullied all over the place. If I try to use the bathroom, I'll get harassed. I'll try to use the bathroom at the Target store also. They started putting some black American police there. You know, and they'll be menacing me sometimes. Especially the day that it was, the FBI went and searched Eric Adams' campaign manager's home, Brianna Shooks, and was all over the press. When they leaked to the press that night, I went to the bathroom at Target store, and the black American police was following me, menacing me in the store. I had to inform the store manager. I said, one of the black, you know, the news I just broke, you know. And today, I was trying to get the newspaper. You know, this newspaper, this is what it's stated, me recording. So I'm being bullied and followed, and menaced. My mother was saying the same thing, that after I sued the NYPD in court, and also she filed a 311 complaint against the NYPD for taking her home in 2010. She was being followed and menaced also. You know, it's like NYPD was using their associate delegate sympathizers to harass and bully. So just strangers, she doesn't know who they are. They were attacked. Even Eric Garner, he said, you know, before he was dead, he died, he was killed. His family member was saying he was complaining, he was being followed and menaced by strangers, and he doesn't know who those strangers are. So I'm being menaced by strangers also. So, you know, they'll just find any reason to bully me. Now they're using police in the Target store. I go to the Target store a lot, I buy cookies, and now they try to harass me when I try to use the bathroom there. Somebody brought me a jacket, and he insists I wear the jacket, and he showed me the receipt. I'm like, sir, I don't even want to wear anything. You give me, I don't know who you are. So, you know, somebody bought a jacket for me, this jacket, and insists I wear, and he showed me the receipt. So but he told me he can't give me the receipt because he had his credit card information on the receipt. So it's like I should wear the jacket because, you know. So I know it was like he's a Christian, it wouldn't hurt me. You know, so I took the jacket from him. You know, I don't know if they're trying to frame me up. You know, but I go to the Target store, I buy a lot of stuff from the Target store. So I've been noticing anytime I try to use the bathroom there since somebody bought me a jacket there, I wouldn't give me the receipt to the jacket. This was like a few days ago. He said, but he had his credit card information on the receipt. I guess he was trying to protect his credit card information. So anytime I go to the Target store now, they'll be menacing me. I don't know that, they said one of the best ways to kill a black is to accuse them of robbery. If I go to the Target store a lot, so I don't know if they're planning to open a Target store, but sometimes they have the black, since the FBI was announcing, since Eric Adams' campaign manager, Brianna Shuggs, our home was searched, and they said as soon as Eric Adams heard our home was being searched, he ran away from Washington, D.C. and came to New York City, and he said it was very important for him to show up in New York. When he heard his campaign manager, his campaign manager was very special to him. That's why he fled Washington, D.C. And ever since then, he said he's been very afraid, or he's been very concerned. And I'm getting attacked like crazy. So, strangers. There's also this guy that's been coming around me. He said he's an NYPD guy. And he came and sat next to me in the afternoon, in the morning, like 10 a.m. I was sitting close to the Duane Reade on Greenwich. The camera was sitting like half a block away from Greenwich, from the Duane Reade on Greenwich Street. But the camera is pointing in all direction. So as I sat down, this guy is a black American who he's been following me around this neighborhood. He told me he's an NYPD guy. And today he brought out a lighter and said he wants to take me out for dinner. I'm like, no, I don't want nothing from you, sir. And he brought out a cigarette lighter. Because somebody tried to set me on fire. They've been trying to set me on fire. They burnt my feet. When my mother was still alive, I believe, somewhere in Manhattan, 34th Street, they set me on fire. My feet they threw a cigarette on my feet, and my whole feet exploded. I still have scars. Then during 2020, somebody threw fire at me. So this black American guy said, I don't know if it's a real NYPD or not, but they threatened me with arson. This morning at 10 a.m., I was sitting close to the Duane Reade store. The camera at Duane Reade store in Greenwich would show me sitting down with my bags, and the camera was pointed in all directions. And he came and sat near me and brought a cigarette lighter and said he wants to take me out for lunch. I'm like, no, I don't want nothing from you. And he's been following all around this neighborhood. We just show up. He says he's an NYPD guy. I don't know who he is, who's sending him. And just now, I came out from the library. They always menaced me in that library. This is Murray Street. Oh, the camera's not really showing. The light is too bright. Let me just try. Let me turn the light off. Let me turn the light off to see if it's on. Yes, this is Murray Street and Church. So I just came out of the library. So I was trying to get the newspaper out. Let me turn the light on again. My camera out. So I was trying to get the newspaper out. This is the newspaper I got out. And the AM New York. And as soon as I got here, it's like nighttime already. It's like 7 p.m. As soon as I got here, and a guy told me to move. He said, move your stuff. I said, well, wants to get a newspaper also. I'm like, who waits the night time to get a newspaper? So, I'm getting picked on one. As soon as I arrived here. And I was getting a newspaper here. And he came also and told me to move. He wants to get the newspaper also. So I don't know if it's a frequent thing that people get in the paper at night time. But I just felt, it was just menacing me. I was very rude about it. As soon as I arrived, it came, I said, move, as I felt, it was just, So and they said this is what this Eric Adams is doing. He's telling them to be, he's telling them if any homeless person shows any signs of violence, they should take them to psych ward. So I'm being accosted, and the black Americans on Washington Market Park, they'll leave the bathroom dirty, remove the soap. They had someone, there's also medicine in that bathroom. She's like a Caribbean female. She also carries Target bag stores, and she acts very menacing towards me in the bathroom. I don't know who she is, but I'm having people message me, and they said, and this Adam has put a word out that if any homeless shows any signs of being violent or anything, they should drag them to the psych ward. So I don't know if somebody put a hit on me. So I'm getting harassed, I'm getting maltreated, and I have civil rights. Nobody can take you hostage under any guises. That's called medical violence. It's a war crime. It's a human rights abuse. So it's like I'm being set up. So people just, harass even in the subway. People start bashing into me. Over on the street, people start walking towards me. So someone trying to promote a fight with that immigrant, and we can just jump that immigrant and claim the person was crazy. And this there's Eric Adams' lawyer. His name is Arthur Adala. I was listening to his radio show. It comes on 9:70 a.m. 6 p.m. weekdays. So I was listening to his radio show at 6 p.m. Let me turn the light off to show my radio. So this is how it shows. This is my radio I was listening to. Showing that around this is the radio I was listening to. Showing around 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And I already went and met him already, and he was describing him as crazy on the radio after I met him a day later. And he's been playing music, back together again. We're family, but and I heard when they can deport an immigrant under that guise that the person is just crazy in New York on the street and needs to be reunited with their family. So since Eric Adams has been sending he's been sending his mental health workers and his police to be grabbing homeless and claiming they're crazy. Then that's the best way to deport an immigrant, to claim the person is crazy on the street in New York City and needs to be united with their family. So I'm getting people jumping me like a black slave. So I don't know if it has a slave merchant police and slave, So I was trying to get this person to get out, okay, move. They're having people jump me anywhere I go. So this Erica is a black American. I'm an African. I say historically there's problems between black Americans and Africans. Some black Americans believe Africans for them to slavery and they try to use their power to get revenge. So I don't know what his problem is, but it's a real civil rights issue. I said it's also been leaving the migrants on the streets or freezing overnight. The Legal Aid Society said that it's not accrediting the migrants, for their shelter. It said the migrants have come to destroy New York. And it's delaying the accreditation. They said now they limit the shelter space for migrants to 30 days. But usually black Americans or any other person can get a unlimited stay in shelter. But the migrants are being singled out for the disparate treatment, which is against the law. You can't encourage that disparate treatment, but they say under this Eric Adams, he's doing whatever he likes to black American. I don't know why he feels so special to get away with it, but I said it's affecting people's lives. They say a lot of the migrants are sleeping overnight on the street because they can't get into shelter. I tried to go to the migrant shelter also. Some of the black American workers there, they thought they were going to put me in a psych ward. So I don't know what's leaving word on for people to harass me. So they're twanting me and harassing me, especially since my mother's daughter is Bologna, Florida, born in America. We're able to frame mental illness. So my mother was born in Nigeria and got away with it. My mother was a civil rights activist. So, I said the FBI would also help to hide evidence. Whether it's Eric Garner that was killed, and I had evidence on my phone showing it was trying to help me with my court papers, and the FBI has that evidence over, and they hid it from the court, and the Eric Garner killer was here. So it's like some people believe that we can harm this immigrant. No, but there's a whole lot of people that want them gone from America. So this Eric Garner, I believe, is empowered. I said there's a lot of immigrants suffering like me. So I'm being jumped. So international committee is looking into this, and it's a target story on Marble Street. They have some black American police that menace me. I don't know if they're going to claim I'm stealing stuff. Somebody just bought me a jacket, and I told them, please, can you give me the receipt? They told me no, they don't want to keep the receipt for themselves. But they had their credit card information on it. So I don't know who I don't know what's going on. They're going to accuse me of anything. I always go there to buy stuff, buy cookies, and I go there to use the bathroom because I have diarrhea. So I'm being menaced in this neighborhood, and I said this Eric Adams is using the NYPD as a Gestapo police to attack people, poor minorities, claiming they're crazy and they need their head fixed. It's like a real Hitler. They said that's the guys. And they said they've been killing blacks like that, black Americans through that process. And so now that it's a black American, I think you can use that method on an African. So it's lawyer that wouldn't help me. Arthur Adala has been playing music back together again. We're family. On the radio throughout today. So I don't know what that is about. And they said they deport immigrant out, but they can just claim you're crazy on the street in America and you need to return to your country for medical treatment. You know, so whatever it is, as lawyers, I thought Dallas' name on the radio today was playing, we're family, and I went to him to help me. He made fun of me on the radio the next day. So a crazy immigrant, came to meet him, as a lawyer to deny me of civil rights. I was trying to, if you could help me organize a truce with this Eric Adam. Why is he using his power against me? And I need a hotel room, like a place, Black Americans in a hotel room that was vacated like me. There's some Black Americans that were vacated these shells to put them in a hotel room. That was all I was submitted to, and it disgraced me. After I died.